The Why Choose trope could have been an email. From giant blue aliens to literal minors, I have read them all. So today we're ranking the craziest book tropes out there from ick to iconic. Starting strong with the orphan who is adopted by her lover trope. And you might be like,
Rachel, you're pulling out the big guns too soon.
oh, if you think that, you clearly have not been here long enough. Grab your emotional support plushie, you're gonna need it. But let's talk about this orphan adoption process. You might be like,
I thought that was solely reserved for One Direction fics.
fair enough. The last trope I read on this format was called Hideaway on Wattpad, and it sprinkles in some other absolutely insane tropes out there. This girl's mother and father die, and she's taken in by a mafia don who sees her as a little sister. But surprise, surprise, that does not last long. Before you know it, these two are shacking up. Nothing about this book in particular makes sense.
He's been living close to her whole life and they've never met each other. He's like literally been bankrolling her life, but not once was there any sort of physical interaction.
The trope itself is also so insane. First of all, none of these adoption processes ever make sense. Always girls who get randomly orphaned and pawned off to some dude they've never met. And you're sitting here like, in what world does Child Protective Services just thumbs up it? There is no singular concerned adult present to stop this thing from happening. I've seen 15-year-olds write this and 30-year-olds write this. It's the trope that never dies. Unlike her parents. Is that too dark? Not to super psychoanalyze you, but I feel like if you're really into this trope, there's definitely some deep-seated neglectful issues in your family. Or you're the kind of person that when you were very young, you used to dream about getting massively sick or something really wrong happening to you so that everybody could pay attention to you and be like, oh no, poor you, poor girl, what do you need? And like dote on you. So you're living vicariously through books where people pity you. And I'm sorry if that's too brutal. Looking back on it, I did used to have some teenage fantasies that brushed up on that, but I grew out of it. Ranking wise though, it's not the worst trope out there. You do have a character that it's in emotionally weakened position and another one who has all of the power, and there's usually like a problematic age gap happening there. But considering some of the things that I've read, this doesn't even scratch the surface. Personally, I wouldn't put it on an ick list, but it's not the kind of thing that I like run towards full force. It's a very mid trope, and I'm okay with that assessment. Which brings me to my second trope that I'm seeing more and more happening. Freshly turned 18-year-old girl that's dating a 30-plus-year-old man. You see this all the time. Look at Romantasy, Jasmine Mass, Blood of Her Achilles. Like, Twilight is a literal high schooler and a 500-year-old vampire. Bro! What is happening here? How can you read that and objectively not find that icky? I understand that it's fiction, but it's still weird.
Because the 18-year-old girl and the full-fledged man seem to speak in the same language and have the same level of emotional maturity.
That is so unrealistic, and I think it's done purposefully to trick you into not thinking about the very problematic dynamics of the relationship. I will read the heck out of it for sure, but there's always going to be a little stirring in my gut being like, this ain't right. Comment if you die on this hill with me. If you genuinely enjoy this trope and like actively seek out books with this trope, I'm gonna demand that you see some therapy. I understand that this is being so normalized in romance books, and I agree that like just portraying an age gap relationship isn't the same as glamorizing it or romanticizing it, but the books that I've read lately that have this trope completely ignore the implications of it to the point where I have a whole podcast episode just talking about age gap romances and like when it's completely unacceptable. So if you love this trope, I'd recommend you go listen to that, come out of that, and tell me if you still feel okay. Like something happened. I don't know if you've been conditioned to be okay with this kind of stuff. I would hope not, and I pray for your well-being. Unsurprisingly, it goes on the ick tier for me. I will caveat that it would not be an immediate DNF just because it happens so often in books. If I just completely wrote off any trope that fits into this category, I'd run out of things to read. And ain't that shocking? Ain't that saying something? We're moving on to one of the most controversial book tropes out there, Step-Sibling Romance. And if you read dark romance, this comes as absolutely no surprise to you. I have read my fair share of step-sibling romance. It's been completely accidental 99% of the time.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Because I love dark romance, so I just pick up a dark romance that has really good reviews, and next thing I know, these people were like related somehow.
Not by blood, not like half siblings, but a lot of step siblings and foster siblings.
I can tell that none of these authors and none of the people recommending these books actually have step siblings. As somebody with 9 step siblings, physically ill imagining myself with any of them. And the excuse that a lot of people give is they didn't grow up together. I didn't grow up around 6 of my current step siblings, and I still would not go there. There is absolutely no level of physical attractiveness. That is your family. I do manage to read it, and I do have some books that I really love that do include this trope. Case in point, Heartless Heathens, absolute wonder of a dark romance, but I would still have enjoyed it if there was no step-sibling romance. It doesn't make or break the book for me.
If anything, take out the step-sibling romance and I would like it more, and I would recommend it more often.
For the sole reason that this is one of my favorite books of all time, will I put the step-sibling romance trope in the mid category? Because it would be so hypocritical of me to put it in an ick list while absolutely devouring this book. But I 100,000% stand with anyone who would burn a step-sibling romance at the stake. Fair enough, sister, I'm with ya. Not sister in that way. The next insane trope that we need to talk about, Russian or Italian mafia. He's in his early 20s and is already running the entire cartel. Why? Don't ask questions. I understand why we're doing this. At least we're trying to put these two characters in the same age range, but
none of that is realistic by any means.
Like, do you understand the mafia structure? Do you understand how, like, legacy works? How hierarchical it is? Power just doesn't flow that way. Also, why are all the mafia men uber attractive? Have you actually seen any mugshots from people who are in the mafia? I feel like the majority haven't. And I would like to give a shout out to Peanut Butter Princess, who pointed out the whitewashing going on in these mafia romances. Why is it always Italian or Russian mafia? In her words, broaden your horizons, and I entirely agree with it. But then again, haven't you just finished reading Dante by Sadie Kincaid? Yes. The portrayal of mafia life was entirely unrealistic.
You're telling me there are 3 mafia siblings, all of them chiseled to perfection, with massive ties to the underworld, and they're just all dilly-dallying and going to galas?
I'm sorry, that's not happening. But I still had a good time. I still was entertained. And no matter how much I mock it, yes, I do love a mafia romance, and I am known to seek them out intentionally. So if I had to psychoanalyze myself on why that is, you can't deny that these men have an income. They've got a good head on their shoulders. They have a job. They run a team. That makes them better than 90% of the guys out there.
Do they kill or maim a couple of people in the process?
Yes.
But that's just the cost of doing business, I guess?
And I'm not saying I'd be involved in that. Iconic tier list. You got me. Between Team Mafia Husband or Team Accidental Pregnancy, which one would you jump on board of faster? And if you say accidental pregnancy, may I recommend you go watch this video. Boy oh boy, do I have a psychoanalysis for you. And next on the crazy trope train, reverse harems.
And I know I don't say that word properly, but I was never taught it, so whenever I try to say it in another accent, it just doesn't sound right for my brain.
But do not let that deter you from the incredible books that the reverse harem trope brought for you. I am a connoisseur of this trope for more reasons than I care to explain. So first things first, we need to distance why choose from reverse harem.
In Why Choose, it's a bit more like multiple people in relationships. Some of them may be platonic between each other, and some of them may actually be physical. And in most modern romance books, it's usually one girl, multiple guys. So a girl might date more than one guy, but the guys between each other are not.
You know?
Whereas in reverse harems, everyone's jumping on that party together. It is a crazy train of body parts, if you know what I mean.
If I told my younger self that I'd be talking about this with a camera in my face, I would have bitch slapped her so hard. Looking back, the reason why I started reading books kind of like this was because I was reading a lot of fan fiction with band members, all of which were usually together. And inevitably, as I grew older, that translated into traditionally published books as well. And I feel like it's become a lot more commonplace in modern romance to have these kinds of situations. Like Royals of Forsyth Hugh, I keep bringing that series up because it does it so well. It is a dark romance, but it is just like a top-notch book series that has you hooked and has you gripped from the start. Even if you're not into this kind of trope, if you enjoy enjoy dark romance and going really dark, then you're going to be hooked straight away. And the reason why I have to put this trope in the iconic list is because whenever I come across this trope, the books are always freaking fantastic. Like, knock on wood, but so far I have not come across a single reverse harem book that wasn't absolutely gripping, had me binge reading till 3 a.m., absolutely loving it, and recommending it to other people. Yeah, I probably have been very, very lucky. And I think it says a lot about us as a society that we've moved to a place where these kinds of books are traditionally published and everyone's down for them. I love it. And it's not to say that because someone likes this trope, they want to have multiple partners, nor does it mean anything about fidelity and monogamy. The trope is always kind of framed as
you should be able to receive love from everyone and to feel loved in all of the different ways.
which is obviously very, very comforting. As is the idea that you don't have to choose just a singular type of love and you shouldn't have to settle. You should be able to get everything you want out of life. So, icon. And shout out to Artaholic Mean who commented on my last video.
I hope this gives you just a little bit of snippet of insight.
And if you want a shout out in my next video, make sure to leave a comment on this one.